Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel's Strike Force. I have struggled a little bit to find some things to talk about this week on MSF. I haven't found that there's a whole lot of things to do, especially for those who kind of did the one and done, did the milestone 10 on the Blaster Scourge, and we're basically waiting for more things to happen. Chapter 3 should be starting next week. Maybe that'll give us a little bit of something, I suppose. And the Zombie Kestrel event is going to be starting later on today. Now, I will probably do a follow-up video to that. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but I think I want to see later on, like, what the orbs look like when they launch later on today. And the specifics to the event, you can see it online on msf.gg, and we're going to go over that a little bit here, but I just want to see it as it goes live. So I might have a second video out later on tonight. But I want to talk about things like Knull. Where are those Knull shards? Are they going to be coming back around? Are we going to be getting them for those players who need them? The way that Ryan Jacobson, the general manager of Boundless and Marvel Strike Force, are we getting it like he said it was? Also, what's going on with raid teams? We have a new Immortal weapons team that's going to be the Mystic raid team. And I was kind of taking a look at the state of raids right now and whether or not you really need them. Do you really need them right now? There's a couple of things I want to talk about this. There were some interesting posts, I think, in one of my previous videos that I wanted to raise here with regards to that. I forgot who made mention of that, but I did comment back. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit today. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Now, there was one single data mine that I do want to bring up at the start of the video here, and it was Lady Bullseye Unleashed. So she's getting one of these the same way we got with Sebastian Shaw and with Living Mummy. Earn Lady Bullseye Red Star. So what does this mean? Basically, we're going to do a bunch of stuff for a week. We're going to get 25 shards for free. We're going to get the 7 red for free. And then at the very end, on the date of November 7th at 2 p.m. Pacific time, you will be able to buy the Lady Bullseye offer. Now, that's pretty soon. The 7th of November is next Friday. So, realistically, this very well could just be the first character, right? So, her offers are going to go live because we have Zombie Kestrel coming out this week. That means we have Lady Bullseye coming out next Friday. So, probably the first member of the Immortal Weapons team. Also, on the live stream, or not the live stream, the strike spot and stuff like that, they didn't have the tags on the characters for the Chapter 3 tag, whatever that is. Are we getting a Chapter 3 trait tag? That's what I'm wondering. I would assume so. They could easily add that in, but I don't have any data mines specifying what that's going to be, if it's going to be there at launch. Maybe we don't even need it right away, right? I mean, because Conquerors is Chapter 2, but I mean, Chapter 3, I mean, unless there's some content that actually calls for it, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, right away. I guess it would be the Thunderstrike Scourge, the first Thunderstrike Scourge, where it might be relevant. So another thing too, remember guys, or not this is Iron Fist World War II. So remember, I told you I screwed up my ISOs. Iron Fist World War II, and I was a little bit disappointed that his kit did not change that much. They basically just slapped on the Immortal Weapons allies to a lot of the kit here. You can see, oh god, I zoomed in too much here. Okay, we'll just leave it here. Anyways, so you can see it here. They basically just added the Immortal Weapons allies. What I was hoping that they would do, though, is that they would kind of remove and allow him to heal more broadly to all allies, which would be really good for my stupid mistake that I did for Global. So what's going to be my plan for Blue Marvel that I screwed up? Probably 4 Brimstone and Immortal Weapon. Iron Fist World War II, right? What other people would want to do, though, with Brimstone would probably be Thunderstrike, honestly. But Thunderstrike is going to be a global character. He's not a cosmic character. And then Blastar and Quasar can be used in the cosmic section with Fantastic Four MCU. This ultimate ability here, I mean, again, there is this extend. I should know, even this is in raids, right? Extend all positive effects, but that's just for self and all Invader and Immortal Weapons allies. So again, it's kind of unfortunate. Hopefully at least his HP numbers and his survivability should be good, because I'm going to have him at like 3 diamonds. So there is that, but all this other stuff just it applies to the team. I don't want to talk about it too much. I'm just kind of upset about my mistake that I did. Let's talk about the Antimatter store one quick time. Make sure that you're spending this like ASAP. Just burn it all, right? You got like 12 days left. Make sure you do this. So I'm actually buying up everything. The Insidious 6, the Brimstone, Living Mummy should be in later this week as well. I have about 900,000 left. I don't think we're earning any more after this week, so that should make it easier to spend. But be careful about that, right? If you're sitting well over a million, make sure you're starting to spend this, whether it's on gear tier 20 if that's what you need, or character shards. I'm not a big fan of bulk spending this on the diamonds because that's going to eventually become available in the elite store, and I'm patient about that. I know how good the Franklin Richards is, and Sue and all those other characters, the Fantastic Four, but I feel like my antimatter is more valuable in shards even before that third diamond, but that's just me. Also, for the characters, to keep in mind that you can check this for the Fantastic Four MCU because they are in this now. So there's this one rotating slot, I think, which sometimes doesn't always show the characters, but just make sure you're checking, especially towards the top, because you're going to get all of the newer characters in there. And if you need any of the other reworks, you can find them at 10x or 10 shards a piece, but the newer characters, I believe, are mostly at 5 shards apiece. So obviously the most relevant is going to be in the Age of Annihilus, so make sure you're checking that out as well. I find this hilarious that it just says high tier, middle tier, low tier, but it is what it is as far as the changes there. And hopefully, if you need Iron Fist shards, there's like one of them is in Age of Apocalypse, and then one of them is in previous ages. Like you really have to search for it. I would really, yeah, Iron Fist was there. Where did I see him? Where was Iron Fist? I saw him there. So just make sure that you're maybe even searching specifically the characters. It'll be a lot easier to find them that way. Speaking of red stars, am I going to find any? I've been looking for Iron Fists in here, but nope. They need more rows because there's so many characters in this game that it takes forever to actually find anything. But anyways, I digress. Let's talk about something else. This Knull post that I saw on Reddit. So I saw this and I liked it so devs, can you just pop Knull into a store, please? Now, I don't think that's what they're going to do or what they even want to do, but what they said was that they were going to make Knull a solo fight in Battle World in some zone, I guess, where you would be able to fight Knull, and depending on what you did, or if you, let's say, you got a full kill on him at X difficulty, that you would be able to still pick up Knull shards that way, because there's lots of people still that do not have him maxed out as 7 yellow. And I guess the question about where to get his red stars are also going to come into question, because they had the command center Knull milestone that allowed you to pick up a free 7 red, based on using Knull in a blitz battle or something like that. And so we don't know anything about this, but I'm gonna give them until the next battle world. If Knull is not in the next battle world, or if you're not able to get shards by the next battle world, I'm gonna be pretty upset, and I hope that they have some sort of plan for the other players who, he's still a really solid character. Honestly, I use him. He's a gear tier 20, and he's really powerful. So I think they need to make him available somehow, in some way. So please, Scopely, do the right thing on that. I don't think it's going to be in a store, though, unfortunately. The second thing, well, I guess I've talked about a few things now. The other thing that I want to talk about is, now that we know that Immortal weapons are a raid team, that we've had so many back-to-back raid teams. So we've had, the easier way to go is go into your roster, go into the squads tab, right? If we just go in, since, I don't know, let's start at Vigilantes, right? Vigilantes. We had Vigilantes and Thunderbolts, 2 back-to-back. I forget what the time period of this was, like March, April, May, something like this, right? And then we had Accursed. And then we had Fantastic Four MCU. Great. Okay, cool. And then we had Hellfire Club and Insidious. Did this count? I mean, this was basically part of the Insidious 6 patch, and so was Secret Warrior. So, okay, pretty much back-to-back. We had Hellfire Club and then Insidious 6. One gap with Brimstone, and then we're getting the Immortal weapons. So, we've barely had time to breathe when it comes to raid teams. It's been almost back-to-back-to-back. And honestly, I would not be surprised if after the Immortal weapons, we would get the new global raid team, because Uncanny Avengers, right? Which would be somewhere down here. Somewhere up here, rather. We had this around the Immortal, X-Men, and Mighty Avengers. This was during the Christmas patch. This was, I believe, through December and January. So I would not be surprised if they brought in a new raid team, because the way that the Annihilation raids are currently set up is that they have this 6th slot for the Uncanny Avengers, which actually is the global slot. So the state of raids is very weird, and that's why I wonder what their plans are for this. We've been doing this Annihilation Raid 2, which they colossally fucked up, right? Let's be honest. They fucked this up really big. The rewards were pretty trash. Let's be fair. The upgrades from Annihilation Raid 1 was almost nothing. They didn't bring in the Omega mode that we were expecting so that the rewards would actually matter for the tiers. I don't know what's going on with that. They said that they were working on that, but I really don't think that they are. So I don't know if we're just waiting until Annihilation Raid 3 and maybe they get their heads out of their asses and actually fix it for the solo rating and the Omega version of the raid where the rewards are actually better, or if they're just waiting until Gear Tier 21 at this point to do that. I have no idea. But the reason why I question whether or not raid teams are even that necessary. I used to put them at the very top of my build list. That raid teams were so important and that they were the first things that you should do on your account, whether you're a new player, a mid game player, whatever, right? Like you should have your raid teams. But now I'm like, if you're someone who's resource crunched a little bit, just for sake of argument, if you go onto, I'm on an empty lane here. So the first node is Mystic, right? But if you go, so difficulty 9 is going to require Night Stalkers. And then eventually that difficulty 9 is also then going to, I guess they're going to replace the node for Immortal Weapons at some point, right? They kind of shuffle the nodes around. I get maybe, do they move them down one? I forget what happens. Did they just shift the map a little bit and then it's like a conveyor belt and then they just kind of like, they kind of come down one and the other one gets moved to the back? Something like that, right? That's what it feels like, a conveyor belt motion for raids. But if you drop this down to difficulty 7, then you can just use Mystic, which means that there's no at least until we get the Omega Raid difficulty, and maybe this will come in some future time, but right now we don't really know what's going on, that you can use any Mystic character. Now, what's the difference between doing difficulty 7 and difficulty 9 or 8, I suppose, because 8 also triggers the team requirement. 7 has 260 armory, 20 orb fragments. Difficulty 8 has 345 and difficulty 9 has 430. So between 260 and 430, it's a fair bit, but if you just think about it stand alone with just a single team, that's only 170 orb fragments for an entire team that you just built. And this feels almost as trashy as the Gear Tier 20 requirements on the bonus nodes, which eventually is going to go away, right? So the Hellfire Club Gear Tier 20 bonus node, this is going to go away, and then we're going to shuffle down the Insidious 6, and then they're going to add in the Immortal Weapons, right? I assume that's what they're going to do. So most of us did not go and G20 our entire Hellfire Club or Insidious 6 yet. So maybe we're only doing difficulty 8, right? For Gear Tier 19 on those nodes. And that's perfectly fine. Like the differences in orb fragments on these individual nodes is dog shit. So why do I want to build an entire team for, say, the difference of 170 orb fragments per day? Plus the bonus node maybe when the full team's up. But it's not a lot, right? It's like a quarter of an orb if you think about it that way per day that you're missing for a single team. The newest team. It's like almost nothing. And that's why I think this raid this what I used to think about raid teams has just completely gone out the window. Like, yes, I'm probably not gonna be able to skip Immortal Weapons like I can some other teams like Accursed, because they're probably going to be necessary and they're going to be the first major team in a Thunderstrike Scourge, right? So that's probably going to be the case. But how high do you really need to build them up, though, is the other thing. Maybe you don't. You know, for those people, again, if you're resource crunched, you could maybe take it a little bit easier if you don't have the abilities to do that right away. So that's just something I wanted to point out. Same with the Uncanny Avengers section, right? This is why I'm talking about if you lower it down to difficulty 7, you can see that it's global, right? And so for that reason, it makes me wonder if the next raid team in this 6th slot, like Uncanny Avengers, is also going to be a global team, whatever that ends up being. I'm thinking, this is just spitballing, I'm thinking it's going to be West Coast Avengers or something like this. I think we're going to be shuffling off of away from X-Men and maybe do some sort of Avengers team. I think that would be a pretty nice thing to do. They're a pretty broad church type of group in terms of origin traits, so that would be pretty good there as well. You don't need to all have the same origins to be on this team because it's a global node, right? And then we have the skill node, which is obviously Vigilantes, and then Thunderbolts, Hellfire Club, and then Insidious 6. So it's just some musings that I had with relations to raid teams because I feel like we're in a really poor spot in terms of where these should be. right? We should have an Omega raid difficulty, but we do not. And because of that, it just makes me not want to care that much about bringing up these characters unless I have some sort of other bigger reason to do so. And yes, like I said, I understand they're probably going to be required for the Thunderstrike Scourge, but I don't think it's going to be a rush if you're a player that doesn't have the resources right away to do it. If you're training mod crunched, if you're gold crunched, whatever it is, maybe focus on, I don't know, the teams that you need to, make sure you're doing it in order, right? I get Insidious 6 is still a great team broadly in other game modes. I like them, right? So they're a PvE team that's also really strong in PvEP. So maybe pick and choose, pick your poison, I suppose, and let me know what your thoughts are about raid teams in general and the Immortal Weapons team in the comments down below. This was something that someone posted about on my other video and something I wanted to raise today. That's it for all. That's it for me, everybody, and I'll see you guys on the next one. We'll talk about Zombie Kestrel on the next video that'll probably be out later on tonight.
And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.